Procrastination. It's a word that carries a weight of guilt and frustration. We've all been there, sitting at our desks, staring blankly at our to-do lists, overwhelmed by the tasks ahead. But what if I told you that procrastination isn't merely a sign of laziness? To truly understand procrastination, we must delve into the complex psychology behind it. Studies suggest that nearly 20% of adults consistently procrastinate, and while this may seem like a small percentage, it translates to millions of people struggling daily with tasks they know they need to complete. Why do we procrastinate? The answer is multifaceted. Research from the University of Vermont found that procrastination often stems from a fear of failure or success. This fear can create a mental block, leading us to avoid the tasks at hand completely. One moment we're motivated, and the next, that motivation crumbles beneath the weight of anxiety. Consider the story of John, a college student who consistently put off studying for exams. He realized that every time he opened his textbooks, a wave of fear would wash over him, a fear of not knowing enough, of failing to meet expectations. This emotional response was so overwhelming that he preferred the temporary relief of distraction, leading him to binge-watch shows instead. But procrastination doesn't only stem from fear. It can be rooted in our instant gratification culture. Behavioral economists have termed this the present bias, where we favor immediate rewards over long-term goals. For instance, scrolling through social media feels rewarding at the moment, whereas tackling a tedious assignment does not. Research shows that this present bias can create a cycle of negative reinforcement. The more we procrastinate, the more we reinforce our aversion to the task at hand, creating a negative feedback loop that makes it harder to start. Interestingly, studies have found that people who procrastinate often have higher levels of anxiety and lower self-esteem. They perceive tasks as more daunting, like climbing a mountain, or just plain boring. This perception can make starting feel more like a Herculean effort, further feeding into procrastination. What's clear is that understanding the roots of procrastination is the first step toward overcoming it. We need to recognize our feelings and tackle the emotional weight that procrastination carries. But how do we move from understanding to action? That's where our next chapter comes in. Prepare to discover techniques that are proven to shift our mindset and get us moving towards our goals. Once we understand the roots of our procrastination, the next powerful step is to shift our mindset. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, teaches us that our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are interconnected. To alter one aspect, we can change the others. A crucial technique in overcoming procrastination is reframing how we view tasks. Instead of seeing them as burdens or chores, let's start recognizing them as opportunities for growth and progress. Think about it, every time you complete a task, you're not just ticking a box, you're investing in your future self. One practical way to implement this is through visualization. Imagine yourself successfully completing a task. Picture the feelings of accomplishment and relief that come with finishing. Research has shown that visualization can enhance motivation and performance because it creates a mental roadmap of success. Another effective technique is the Pomodoro technique, a time management method that breaks work into intervals, traditionally 25 minutes in length, separated by short breaks. This strategy not only enhances focus but also makes the work seem less daunting. By breaking a task into smaller chunks, we can tackle it piece by piece, diminishing the overwhelming nature of the whole task. Take Sarah, a graphic designer who faced daunting deadlines. Instead of viewing her projects as mountains to climb, she began to use the Pomodoro technique. She dedicated 25 minutes of intense focus to her tasks, followed by a 5-minute break to recharge. Not only did her productivity soar, but she also found the work more enjoyable. In tandem with these strategies, building self-discipline is crucial. A study from the American Psychological Association indicates that people with stronger self-control tend to procrastinate less. This leads us to practices like goal setting and self-reward systems. By setting achievable milestones and rewarding ourselves for hitting those milestones, we can reinforce positive behaviors and diminish procrastination over time. Next, let's explore some real-life stories of individuals who faced procrastination head-on and emerged victorious. Their journeys will provide powerful insights and encouragement as we continue this path of self-improvement. Stories have a unique power to inspire and motivate us. They remind us that we are not alone in our struggles and that change is possible. Let's look at a few remarkable stories of individuals who turned their procrastination into productivity. Meet Alex, an aspiring author who dreamt of publishing a novel. For years, he wrestled with procrastination, finding excuses to avoid writing. It wasn't until he joined a local writers' group that he faced his fears. The accountability and support of his peers helped him push through the barriers he had built. In just a year, he completed his first draft and eventually published his book. Alex's story illustrates the power of community in overcoming procrastination. Then there's Lisa, a work-from-home employee who struggled with managing her time. Every day she had to fight the urge to scroll through social media, which consumed hours of her day. Realizing she needed to take control, Lisa implemented a strict schedule for her work hours, paired with the Pomodoro technique she had learned. With each completed task, she felt the rush of accomplishment, and soon, her productivity skyrocketed. These stories are not isolated. Research shows that sharing our struggles with others and seeking support can significantly impact our ability to overcome procrastination. In fact, a study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who shared their goals with friends were 33% more successful in achieving them. But success doesn't only come through support, it can also stem from the methods we apply ourselves. Take, for example, Tom, a student who found that incorporating regular exercise into his routine helped combat his procrastination. By committing to a workout schedule, he found that physical activity enhanced his focus and energy levels, making it easier for him to tackle assignments. Moreover, these stories showcase that overcoming procrastination often involves a combination of strategies. It's not just about willpower, it's about finding what works for you personally and sticking with it. As you think about these transformations, prepare yourself for the next chapter, where we will share specific actionable techniques that can boost your productivity even further. Now that we've explored the emotional and psychological aspects of procrastination and heard inspiring stories, it's time to equip ourselves with actionable techniques to fight back against this common foe. Here are some powerful tools that you can implement immediately. First up is time blocking. This method involves dividing your day into dedicated blocks of time for specific tasks. Let's say you have a project due in a week. Instead of cramming all your work into one go, allocate a couple of hours each day leading up to the deadline. This not only prevents last-minute stress but also fosters consistent progress. Next, let's talk about the 2-minute rule. Coined by productivity expert David Allen, this rule states that if a task takes 2 minutes or less, you should do it immediately. This could be responding to an email, putting away laundry, or making your bed. By tackling these quick tasks right away, you prevent them from piling up, which often leads to procrastination. Another valuable technique is the Eisenhower matrix, a prioritization tool that helps you distinguish between what's urgent and important. By categorizing your tasks, you can focus on what truly matters instead of getting lost in the noise of less relevant tasks. For instance, if you have a report due next week but also need to schedule a meeting, the report takes precedence. Let's consider Emily, a marketing professional who was overwhelmed by her to-do list. She began using the Eisenhower matrix to prioritize her tasks effectively. As a result, she found herself focusing on high-impact activities that moved her projects forward rather than getting bogged down by minor tasks. Finally, let's not forget the importance of self-care in combating procrastination. Ensuring you have a healthy balance between work and rest is crucial. Incorporating regular breaks can refresh your mind and maintain your motivation. By integrating these techniques into your daily routine, you will empower yourself to overcome procrastination and reclaim your time. In the next chapter, we'll focus on building a personalized action plan tailored just for you. The journey toward overcoming procrastination is deeply personal. As we wrap up this first half of our exploration, it's essential to create a personalized action plan that works for you. This plan will serve as your roadmap, guiding you towards consistent productivity and fulfillment. Start by reflecting on your procrastination patterns. Ask yourself, what tasks do I tend to put off? What feelings do I associate with those tasks? Identifying these patterns is a crucial first step. Next, consider the techniques we've discussed today. Which ones resonated most with you? Once you've compiled a list of strategies, set actionable, achievable goals based on your insights. For example, if you found the Pomodoro technique appealing, commit to trying it for a week and note your progress. Set specific milestones, such as completing a certain number of writing hours or project drafts, to keep yourself accountable. Another vital component of your action plan is building a support system. Who can you turn to for accountability? Find a partner, whether a friend, colleague, or family member, to share your goals with. This collaboration can provide motivation and encouragement along your journey. Incorporate reflection into your plan as well. Schedule regular check-ins to assess what's working and what isn't. This allows you to adjust your strategies and stay aligned with your goals. Finally, remember that you are capable of change. Transformation takes time and consistent effort, but each step forward is a victory. Embrace the journey, and know that you have the tools and strategies to overcome procrastination. In our next chapter, we'll discuss how to maintain your newfound productivity and ensure that procrastination doesn't creep back into your life. Procrastination isn't merely a failure of time management. It's deeply rooted in our psychology and often has very emotional undertones. Scientists have discovered that procrastination is a complex behavior linked to perfectionism, fear of failure, and even anxiety. A study by the University of Calgary found that approximately 80% of college students procrastinate, but it's not just students. Research from the University of Vermont indicates that 20% of adults habitually procrastinate. In this chapter, we will unpack the neurological and psychological mechanisms at play when we procrastinate. Imagine the brain as a battleground, a tug-of-war between the rational prefrontal cortex and the emotion-driven limbic system. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning and decision-making, often fights against the amygdala, which governs our emotions and fears. When faced with an unpleasant task, the amygdala can trigger a fear response, activating procrastination as a coping mechanism. A fascinating case study is that of a writer named Sarah. She struggled to start her novel, paralyzed by the fear that it wouldn't be good enough. Like many, her procrastination wasn't simply laziness but a protective behavior against potential failure. Understanding these mechanisms helped her realize that her procrastination was rooted in fear. She began implementing gradual exposure techniques, slowly increasing her writing output, which in turn reduced her anxiety. Statistically, a 2016 study revealed that individuals who procrastinate tend to have more negative emotional states, leading them to engage in self-sabotaging behaviors. For those who struggle with chronic procrastination, seeking professional help can be another avenue to explore. In essence, recognizing procrastination as a psychological defense rather than a mere character flaw can be empowering. We will continue to explore ways to recast this battle within ourselves as we navigate the complexities of our motivations, but first, it's crucial to grasp what procrastination looks like in our daily lives. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks, and it plays a key role in overcoming procrastination. In this chapter, we will look at various resilience-building strategies to help you face the challenges of procrastination head-on. One effective method is social support. Surrounding yourself with encouraging friends or colleagues can create a powerful network of accountability. Dr. Amy Cuddy, a social psychologist, emphasizes the significance of body language and power poses to enhance resilience. A simple 2-minute power pose can increase feelings of confidence before tackling challenging tasks. By changing our physical stance, we can shift our mental state, preparing us for action instead of avoidance. Another strategy is developing a mindfulness practice. A study published in the journal Psychological Science found that engaging in mindfulness meditation reduces procrastination by increasing focus and reducing anxiety. This means that by taking time to be present and aware of your thoughts, you can cultivate an environment that fosters productivity. For instance, consider the story of David, who found himself constantly delaying his gym sessions. After adopting mindfulness techniques, he became more aware of his emotional triggers, such as fatigue and stress, that contributed to his procrastination. By recognizing these triggers, David was able to create a healthier relationship with physical activity, ultimately leading to consistent workouts. As we explore resilience strategies further, it's essential to look into the actionable steps of creating small, manageable goals. These goals can be intentional mini-challenges designed to foster a sense of accomplishment while enabling the development of resilience against procrastination. However, every step you take towards overcoming procrastination is a step towards building resilience. Understanding what works for you will take time and experimentation. In the next chapter, we will delve into the role of self-compassion and how it can radically transform your relationship with procrastination. Self-compassion is an often overlooked yet powerful tool in battling procrastination. So, what is self-compassion? According to psychologist Kristen Neff, self-compassion consists of 3 main components: self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. Self-kindness involves treating ourselves with care, rather than harsh criticism, when we stumble or fail. Research shows that individuals with higher levels of self-compassion are less likely to procrastinate. A study in the Journal of Personality and Individual Differences found that those who practice self-compassion show more engagement in their tasks and less avoidance behavior. This isn't merely about being nice to ourselves, it's about recognizing that everyone struggles with tasks and that we're not alone in our feelings of inadequacy. Take the story of Emily, a student with perfectionist tendencies. Each time she submitted a paper, she would scrutinize every detail, often delaying submission until the last possible minute. After attending a workshop on self-compassion, she realized that self-criticism wasn't helping her achieve her goals. Instead, she began to practice self-kindness and understood that her worth wasn't defined by her output or grades. This shift in mindset allowed her to take action without fear of judgment. Embracing self-compassion can also help individuals recover quickly from setbacks. Instead of spiraling into negative thoughts, self-compassion offers a pathway to resilience and renewed motivation. When you encounter a setback, an unfinished project or unmet deadline, ask yourself, how would I respond to a friend in this situation? More often than not, you'd offer them comfort and understanding. In this chapter, we will practice various self-compassion exercises, such as the self-compassion break, where you acknowledge your feelings and remind yourself that these experiences are part of the human condition. The goal is to cultivate an inner voice that encourages rather than criticizes, offering a nurturing perspective on your journey. As we turn our focus inward, we will be better prepared to confront the challenges ahead. Up next, we will explore the impact of a supportive environment in overcoming procrastination. As we delve into the last critical aspect of overcoming procrastination, we must address the power of your environment. Surrounding yourself with a supportive community can make a significant difference in how motivated and accountable you feel. Research indicates that social support correlates positively with task accomplishment and reduces procrastination. The story of John, a freelance graphic designer, perfectly captures this dynamic. Working alone in a home office, John often succumbed to distractions like social media and television. He recognized that his environment wasn't conducive to productivity. After joining a co-working space, he suddenly found himself surrounded by like-minded individuals, which inspired him to stay on task. The atmosphere became a silent motivator, encouraging him to engage rather than retreat into procrastination. One effective strategy is accountability partnerships. Pairing up with someone who has similar goals can create a strong sense of responsibility and encouragement. For example, Sarah and her friend decided to set weekly goals and share their progress. This not only helped them stay committed but also provided an avenue for discussing challenges and successes openly. Additionally, creating a procrastination-free zone at home can be a game-changer. Clear your workspace of unnecessary distractions, limit access to your phone during work hours, and incorporate tools that promote focus, such as timers for the Pomodoro technique. These adjustments can create a physical environment that fosters productivity and reduces the allure of procrastination. In this chapter, we will also cover the significance of online communities. Whether through forums, dedicated apps, or specialized groups on social media, connecting with others facing the same struggles can foster a sense of belonging and motivation. As we wrap up this discussion, we'll look at how incorporating aspects of community and environment plays a vital role in not only overcoming procrastination but also in creating sustainable productivity habits moving forward. As we reach the conclusion of our exploration into procrastination, the final and most crucial step is taking action. Change doesn't happen overnight, it requires commitment and persistence. The journey toward overcoming procrastination begins with understanding, but it culminates in action. Research shows that taking small, deliberate actions can create momentum. The Zeigarnik effect highlights how incomplete tasks linger in our minds, creating the illusion of urgency. By initiating a task, no matter how small, we can alleviate that cognitive dissonance. For instance, if tackling a report feels overwhelming, start by drafting the title or writing a single paragraph. This often leads to a flow of ideas where the task no longer seems daunting. Take the case of Maria, who found herself perpetually postponing her health goals. After learning about the importance of small actions, she committed to walking for just 5 minutes a day. Over weeks, her confidence grew, and this simple action blossomed into hour-long workouts. This transformation came from understanding that every minor action compounded over time can lead to substantial change. In this chapter, we will discuss various methods to integrate action into your daily routine. One effective strategy involves implementing the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. This small commitment can help shift your mindset from procrastination to productivity. Moreover, setting long-term goals with short-term milestones creates actionable steps for greater accountability. Writing these down and reviewing them regularly can reinforce your commitment to change. As you take steps toward breaking the cycle of procrastination, remember that it's a gradual process, requiring patience and self-reflection. As we conclude our journey together, keep in mind that the path to overcoming procrastination is complex but entirely achievable. Each of us has the power to change our habits through understanding, community, and most importantly, taking action. With the strategies we've covered, you can begin to redefine your relationship with procrastination, stepping boldly into a more productive and fulfilling life. Procrastination is often seen simply as a time-wasting habit, but its effects permeate deeper into our lives than we often acknowledge. It not only robs us of precious moments but also has far-reaching consequences on our mental and physical health, relationships, and productivity. Consider this: a study published in the journal Psychological Science revealed that chronic procrastinators not only experience increased stress and anxiety but also are more likely to suffer from health issues such as insomnia and headaches. The longer we put things off, the more pressure mounts, leading to a vicious cycle of avoidance and anxiety. One prominent case is that of Charles, a young professional who constantly delayed important work projects. His habit of procrastinating led to missed deadlines, which not only affected his career progression but severely impacted his mental health. Over time, he found himself battling feelings of inadequacy and depression, all stemming from this seemingly innocuous behavior of putting things off. What Charles and many others don't realize is that procrastination can also damage personal relationships. When we continuously postpone commitments or fail to follow through on promises, it diminishes trust and reliability in our personal connections. Therefore, it's crucial to recognize procrastination as a multifaceted issue with significant costs. To truly overcome procrastination, we must identify these hidden costs and understand their implications on our lives. The next time you find yourself delaying a task, ask, what are the real costs of my procrastination? As we explore this, we must also consider effective strategies that can mitigate these negative impacts. Let's look at some of those in our next chapter as we discuss strategies and mindsets that can foster a healthier relationship with our tasks and responsibilities. As we delve into mindfulness, it's essential to understand how it can serve as a powerful antidote to procrastination. In a world filled with distractions, practicing mindfulness can help us center our thoughts and bring clarity to our actions. Mindfulness, at its core, is about being present in the moment. Research by the University of Washington found that engaging in mindfulness practices can reduce procrastination significantly. The key lies in developing an awareness of our thoughts and feelings rather than letting them dictate our actions. Take the story of Laura, a graduate student who found herself overwhelmed by her thesis work. Every day she planned to tackle her research but found herself stalling, consumed by fears of inadequacy. It wasn't until she started a daily mindfulness meditation practice that everything began to change. By focusing on her breath and observing her thoughts without judgment, Laura learned to recognize the anxieties that fueled her procrastination. Instead of feeling paralyzed by her tasks, she became more engaged and intentional in her actions. This shift allowed her to approach her work from a place of calm and clarity, leading to increased productivity and less stress. Mindfulness practices such as meditation, journaling, and deep breathing exercises not only enhance our focus but also promote emotional regulation, which is crucial when facing daunting tasks. In our fast-paced world, taking the time to cultivate present awareness can transform our relationship with work and procrastination. Moving forward, we'll explore how integrating these mindfulness practices into our daily routines can shift our mindset and enhance our productivity. The ramifications of procrastination extend into historical context, where we can draw valuable lessons from notable figures who struggled with this very challenge. Look no further than Leonardo da Vinci, a man whose procrastination was legendary. Despite his genius and monumental contributions to art and science, he often delayed completing his projects. The Mona Lisa, for instance, was a painting that took him years to finish, and he famously left many works unfinished. Da Vinci's story illustrates a poignant lesson: even the most brilliant minds are susceptible to the lure of procrastination. Fast forward to the present day, and we see similar narratives unfold. The tech mogul Bill Gates once shared insights about his approach to deadlines. He emphasized the importance of setting firm deadlines to combat his tendency to defer work until the last moment. Through the lens of these historical and contemporary figures, we can recognize that procrastination is not merely a personal flaw, but a universal challenge that transcends time and discipline. History teaches us that if we can learn from the experiences of those who came before us, we can develop strategies and mindsets that help mitigate procrastination's grip on our lives. Let's draw inspiration from their journeys as we uncover actionable strategies to conquer procrastination by honoring deadlines, taking initiative, and embracing accountability in our next chapter. Have you ever asked yourself, why do I keep putting off this task? Understanding the psychological triggers that lead to procrastination can be the first step toward overcoming it. It's not just about being lazy or disorganized. There are deeper psychological factors at play that can influence our behavior in profound ways. Research led by Dr. Piers Steel, a noted psychologist and author of The Procrastination Equation, indicates that procrastination is often tied to fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, or even fear of judgment can push us into a cycle of avoidance. For instance, imagine a student who is terrified of getting a bad grade. Instead of starting to study, they find themselves binge-watching a series, leaving their work undone. This situation is not merely about poor time management, it's a defense mechanism against anxiety. Moreover, the instant gratification we experience from distractions, like social media, YouTube, or video games, reinforces a cycle of avoidance. Our brains are wired to seek pleasure, and when the reward of progress seems distant, it's easier to succumb to more immediate pleasures. In one study, researchers discovered that procrastinators tend to have a skewed perception of time. They may believe they can complete tasks faster than they actually can, leading to a false sense of security. Consider the story of Jenna, a talented writer who had a book contract but kept postponing her writing. Every day, she felt a wave of anxiety wash over her at the thought of the deadline approaching. Instead of writing, she distracted herself with trivial tasks around the house. When she finally sought help from a therapist, she learned that her procrastination stemmed from a fear of not being good enough, which they addressed by using cognitive behavioral strategies. Through this process, Jenna began to view her writing as a way to express herself rather than a task to complete. This chapter aims to underscore the importance of recognizing these psychological triggers. If you can understand what drives you to delay, you can forge a powerful path toward change. Next, we will explore the link between perfectionism and procrastination, diving deep into how the quest for perfection can often be paralyzing and counterproductive. Stay tuned as we uncover surprising insights about the connection between these two behaviors. Imagine standing at the edge of a high diving board, heart racing and palms sweating. That's how many of us feel when facing daunting tasks, like endless paperwork, assignments, or responsibilities. Understanding emotional regulation can be a game-changer in overcoming procrastination. Emotional regulation refers to the ability to manage and respond to emotional experiences in a healthy and constructive manner. According to research from the Emotion Regulation Lab at the University of California, many individuals struggle with this skill, often leading them to procrastinate. Instead of facing uncomfortable emotions like anxiety or frustration, they choose to avoid them altogether. Let's take Tom's story as an example. Tom found himself constantly pushing off his work assignments, but it wasn't because he had poor time management skills. It was because he felt overwhelmed and sad about the tasks at hand. He often wrestled with his own emotions, fear of disappointing his boss, anxiety about completing projects to a high standard, and even guilt over not succeeding. Through therapy, Tom learned about emotional regulation strategies like mindfulness and journaling. Practicing mindfulness helped him stay grounded and present, allowing him to tackle work without being overwhelmed by negative feelings. Journaling several times a week also proved beneficial. It allowed him to express his frustrations and organize his thoughts, leading him to face tasks instead of fleeing from them. A meta-analysis published in the journal Cognitive Therapy and Research reveals a strong correlation between emotional regulation and procrastination. Individuals who struggle with managing their emotions are more likely to delay tasks. This suggests that building emotional regulation skills is not just beneficial, it's essential for effectively combating procrastination. The ability to recognize and acknowledge feelings is a significant part of emotional regulation. When faced with the urge to procrastinate, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Once you pinpoint the emotion, you can begin to address it constructively. As we continue, we will delve into setting realistic goals and how they play a crucial role in our journey to combat procrastination. You won't want to miss the techniques that can help you build achievable milestones towards success. In our technology-driven world, our devices can be both our saviors and our tormentors. On one hand, they can lead us into endless loops of procrastination. On the other, they can provide tools that enhance productivity and keep us focused. Let's look at social media, for example. Numerous studies have shown that platforms like Facebook and Instagram can be significant distractions that lead us to procrastinate. A report by the American Psychological Association revealed that just the presence of mobile devices can reduce focus and attention. However, technology is also filled with tools designed to help us combat procrastination. Apps like Trello, Todoist, and Forest can assist in organizing tasks and increasing motivation. Take the Forest app, for instance. It gamifies the act of focusing. Users plant a tree as they work, and if they leave the app to browse their phone, the tree dies. This clever interaction creates a sense of responsibility and helps many users remain dedicated to their tasks. Consider Jake, a student struggling to balance his studies and social life. After realizing he was spending too much time on his phone, he decided to use technology constructively. He set up notifications to remind him of deadlines, used productivity apps to create daily goals, and established screen time limits on social media. As a result, Jake found that he was not only completing assignments on time but also enjoying his social life more, without the stress of looming deadlines. But using technology effectively requires discipline. Experts suggest setting boundaries for online activities by designating specific times for productivity versus leisure. For example, using the Pomodoro technique, where you work for 25 minutes and take a 5-minute break, coupled with technology, can enhance your focus. As we wrap up this chapter, remember that while technology has the potential to distract us, it can also serve as a powerful ally in our fight against procrastination. Coming up next, we will explore the impact of societal expectations and how they play a significant role in our procrastination habits, and what you can do to reclaim your agency in the face of them. Have you ever found yourself staring at a blank page, feeling paralyzed by the weight of your own expectations? Welcome to the paradox of procrastination, where the fear of failure often outweighs the desire to succeed. This fear can be crippling, preventing you from even starting a task. Studies reveal that nearly 20% of adults admit to chronic procrastination, often fueled by perfectionism and anxiety. This fear of not meeting standards, whether your own or imposed by others, can create a vicious cycle. Let's explore the story of Mark, a talented illustrator who faced this very dilemma. Mark spent years honing his craft, yet when the time came to submit his portfolio for a prestigious art show, he hesitated. He believed his work wasn't good enough, fearing harsh critiques could shatter his confidence. Instead of showcasing his talent, he convinced himself that delaying the submission would spare him the pain of rejection. The truth? Mark missed out not only on the opportunity to share his art but also on valuable feedback that could have propelled his growth as an artist. With every passing day, his anxiety compounded, leading him into deeper procrastination. So how do we confront this fear of failure? First, it's essential to acknowledge the fear and understand its roots. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, can be incredibly effective in addressing these fears, allowing individuals to reframe negative thoughts. By gradually exposing yourself to the fear, whether it's submitting a project or taking a public speaking class, you build resilience. For Mark, it meant starting small, sharing his sketches with a trusted friend instead of waiting for an art show. This shift made a world of difference. Incorporate strategies like setting time limits on tasks to alleviate the burden of perfectionism. When you remove the pressure of creating something flawless, you empower yourself to take those crucial first steps. By reframing your mindset, you begin to see failures not as endpoints, but as stepping stones toward growth. Ultimately, the journey to overcoming procrastination is less about eradicating fear and more about understanding it. As you begin to embrace imperfection and take action in spite of fear, you may find your productivity soaring, and the memories of procrastination fading into the past. If Mark could conquer his fear by taking gradual steps, so can you. But what happens when the fear persists? How do we manage the emotional turbulence that accompanies our procrastination habits? Let's dive into emotional regulation and its critical role in fighting procrastination. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly conquer their to-do lists while others struggle with simple tasks? The secret often lies in the power of habits. Habits are the invisible scaffolding of our daily lives. According to research from Duke University, about 40% of our daily actions are habits, which means if you can shift your habits, you can radically change your productivity. Let's explore how to harness this power. Take the story of Jenna, a college student who was grappling with procrastination in her studies. She would often wait until the night before to start her assignments, leading to all-nighters and poor grades. Jenna knew she needed a change, but she had no idea where to start. After doing some research, she learned about the habit loop: cue, routine, reward. To change her outcomes, Jenna decided to replace her late-night study sessions with a dedicated study routine every afternoon. She identified her cue, her daily coffee break, and used it as a signal to begin studying instead of scrolling through social media. Each time she sat down to study after her coffee, she rewarded herself with a small treat, maybe a piece of chocolate or a short episode of her favorite show. Over weeks, this new routine became ingrained, and her stress levels dropped significantly. Jenna saw improved grades, but more importantly, she felt a sense of control over her life. By consciously crafting her habits, she redefined her relationship with procrastination. But creating new habits can be challenging. It requires commitment and consistency. A study from the European Journal of Social Psychology found that, on average, it takes about 66 days for a new behavior to become automatic. This journey can involve setbacks, and that's completely normal. When Jenna experienced a slip, she forgot to study one afternoon, she didn't despair. Instead, she revisited her cues and rewards, tweaking her approach to reinforce the positive behavior. This adaptability is crucial. Understanding that habits evolve can keep you on track. A practical method to implement new habits is to use the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. This simple strategy eliminates the initial resistance that often leads to procrastination. By integrating these habits into your life, you'll find that procrastination begins to lose its grip, gradually replaced by productive behaviors that drive success. So what happens when our environment creates additional challenges to forming good habits? How can we reshape it effectively? Let's explore creating a supportive environment next. What if the key to overcoming procrastination lies not within you, but in your environment? Have you ever felt the weight of distractions that seem to whisper, "Just relax a little longer"? Your environment plays a crucial role in shaping your habits and productivity. Research indicates that our surroundings can significantly influence our behavior, often more than we realize. It's time to take a closer look at how to optimize your environment to encourage action. Consider Anna, a freelance writer who struggled with procrastination. Her home was often filled with clutter, piles of laundry, stacks of books, and the ever-present allure of television. These distractions made it challenging for her to focus on her work. One day, Anna decided enough was enough. She embarked on a mission to declutter her workspace, transforming it into a dedicated writing sanctuary. She set up a clean desk, minimalistic decorations, and even incorporated some plants for a touch of nature. The impact was almost immediate. With fewer distractions, Anna found herself slipping into deeper states of focus, often writing for hours without realizing it. The act of creating an inviting environment shifted her mindset toward productivity. Research supports this. A study published in the Journal of Environmental Psychology found that well-organized workspaces can enhance creativity and increase task performance by as much as 30%. Additionally, incorporating visual cues into your environment can serve as powerful reminders of your goals. For instance, placing sticky notes with motivational quotes or images of your goals in prominent places can ignite your motivation when faced with procrastination. Moreover, technology also plays a significant role. Consider utilizing tools like website blockers to limit distractions or apps that promote focus by using techniques like the Pomodoro technique, working in bursts followed by scheduled breaks. Social support is another key element. Surrounding yourself with proactive individuals can create a culture of productivity. Whether it's forming study groups or joining accountability groups, having peers who share your goals can provide the motivation you need to stay on track. Anna joined a writers' group where members would share their goals for the week, creating a sense of accountability that pushed her to write consistently. Watching peers succeed inspired her to do the same. Creating a supportive environment is about more than just physical space. It's a holistic approach that encompasses setting up your workspace, managing distractions, and building a positive network. As you craft this environment, you may find that the battle against procrastination shifts dramatically. But what happens when the internal struggle becomes overwhelming? How do we navigate through intense emotions that can stifle our productivity? Let's explore emotional regulation strategies next. The complex relationship between fear and procrastination is often overlooked. Many people know the feeling of dread that accompanies a deadline. But why do we experience this anxiety? Fear can come in many forms: fear of failure, fear of success, fear of the unknown. Research shows those who procrastinate are more likely to have underlying anxiety issues. According to a study published in the journal Personality and Individual Differences, individuals who suffer from higher levels of anxiety are more prone to procrastination. The connection between anxiety and procrastination forms a vicious cycle. The more we delay tasks, the more anxious we become, leading to even more procrastination. Consider the story of Jane, a high school student who struggled with taking her exams. Every time she thought about studying, she'd feel a wave of anxiety wash over her. The thought of failing weighed heavily on her mind. Instead of confronting the fear, she chose to binge-watch her favorite series instead. She felt immediate relief, but as the exam neared, the anxiety returned, stronger than before. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, offers valuable techniques for managing anxiety. CBT can help individuals identify negative thought patterns and replace them with more constructive ones. By recognizing that procrastination was not only causing stress but also damaging her self-esteem, Jane learned to approach her studies with a new mindset. Moreover, the role of mindfulness in addressing anxiety is crucial. Mindfulness encourages individuals to focus on the present rather than fixating on potential failures. For example, a simple breathing exercise can ground someone who feels overwhelmed. By taking a few slow breaths and focusing on the here and now, the urgent threat of anxiety diminishes. Studies indicate that mindfulness practices significantly reduce procrastination rates. As Jane began to incorporate mindfulness techniques into her daily routine, she noticed a significant reduction in her anxiety levels. Tasks that once felt monumental became manageable. The more she faced her fears, the more confident she became in her abilities. This chapter shows how understanding the fear factor and employing strategies like CBT and mindfulness can lead to sustainable change. Fear of failure is a common thread that binds many procrastinators together. However, recognizing that failure is a part of growth can be transformative. Jane learned that setbacks were not the end of her journey but stepping stones to her ultimate success. What could happen if we all shifted our perspectives on failure and embraced a growth mindset? How can we use the fear factor to fuel our success rather than hinder it? Procrastination is often intertwined with our emotional states. People do not just delay tasks recklessly, they are often responding to deeper emotional triggers. Understanding these emotional undercurrents can provide insights into why procrastination occurs and how to combat it effectively. Emotion can drive our actions, and in many cases, procrastination is a misguided attempt to protect ourselves from uncomfortable feelings. Let's delve into Mike's story, a software developer who could not complete a critical project. Every time he opened his laptop, he felt a wave of dread. The looming deadline triggered feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. To cope, he found himself scrolling through social media, drawn in by the instant gratification it provided. This cycle of avoidance led to an emotional roller coaster of guilt and shame. Research by Dr. Tim Pychyl, a leading expert on procrastination, reveals that emotions such as boredom, anxiety, and frustration are primary reasons people procrastinate. Awareness of these emotional triggers can be the first step toward change. Mike eventually learned to identify his emotional triggers. Instead of getting stuck in the cycle of avoidance, he began to acknowledge the emotions driving his procrastination. Admitting to himself that he was feeling overwhelmed allowed Mike to seek help and structure his work in smaller, manageable pieces. The emotional regulation technique also played a significant role in Mike's journey. By using tools such as journaling, Mike could express his feelings and understand their root cause. Journaling allowed him to confront his fears rather than avoid them, transforming anxiety into action. Moreover, self-compassion emerged as another effective strategy. Instead of self-criticism, Mike learned to treat himself with kindness, acknowledging that everyone faces struggles. Studies have shown that self-compassion can significantly reduce procrastination. This approach allowed Mike to create a supportive inner dialogue that nurtured his motivation. As Mike continued this emotional exploration, he discovered a newfound sense of empowerment. His productivity increased, leading to higher self-esteem and a better work-life balance. The emotional roller coaster became less about fear and more about growth and resilience. Understanding the emotional triggers behind our procrastination opens the door to personal growth. What if we all embraced our emotions rather than running from them? What new opportunities could we create by facing those challenges head-on? Visualization is a powerful tool in the arsenal against procrastination. Getting clarity on your goals and aspirations can drastically alter your mindset and drive. A vision board serves as a visual representation of your dreams and objectives, making them feel more tangible and achievable. Consider the journey of Sarah, an aspiring entrepreneur. Frustrated with her job and yearning to start her own business, she often found herself postponing critical steps toward her goal. Her dreams felt distant and unattainable. That's when she came across the concept of a vision board. With newfound inspiration, Sarah gathered images, quotes, and symbols that resonated with her aspirations. Studies indicate that visualization increases motivation and focus. According to a report from the National Library of Medicine, people who visualize their goals are significantly more likely to achieve them. Sarah placed her vision board in a prominent place, reminding her daily of what she wanted to achieve. This regular exposure reignited her passion and served as a motivational anchor. As Sarah began taking small steps towards her goals, something remarkable happened. Each completed task filled her with a sense of accomplishment, propelling her forward. She learned to break her business plan into smaller, actionable goals and celebrate each milestone. Each celebration reinforced the connection between visualizing her success and achieving it. Additionally, Sarah incorporated visualization techniques into her daily routine. Every morning, she spent a few moments envisioning herself as a successful entrepreneur. This practice not only energized her but also served as a reminder of her capabilities. The act of visualizing success shifted her mentality from that of a procrastinator to a doer. Now thriving in her entrepreneurial endeavors, Sarah emphasizes the significance of visualization in her success. She encourages others to create their vision boards. Through Sarah's story, it becomes clear that a vision board can serve as more than just a collection of images. It can be a powerful motivator in overcoming procrastination. What if we all took the time to visualize our dreams and set goals? How might that shift our approach to achievement and success? Setting goals is often regarded as a cornerstone of productivity. But how many of us truly know how to set effective goals that propel us forward? Research shows that only about 8% of people achieve their New Year's resolutions, and much of this failure can be traced back to vague or unrealistic goal setting. Let's explore how to harness the power of goals effectively. When we talk about goals, we often think about the end result. We want to lose that weight, finish that project, or learn a new skill. However, the real power of effective goal setting lies not just in the what but in the how. To illustrate this, let's look at the story of Sarah, a woman who struggled with chronic procrastination for years. Sarah would set ambitious goals every January, only to abandon them by March. She felt stuck in a loop of inaction. But one year, she decided to change her approach. Sarah learned about SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Instead of saying, "I want to lose weight," she rephrased it to, "I will lose 10 pounds in 3 months by exercising 3 times a week and tracking my meals." This shift made all the difference. By breaking her goal into actionable steps and establishing a clear timeline, Sarah transformed her aspirations into a structured plan. Research backs this up. A study from the Dominican University of California showed that people who write down their goals are 42% more likely to achieve them compared to those who just think about them. Moreover, Sarah's journey continued with regular check-ins. She set weekly milestones and celebrated small victories, reinforcing her commitment. This was not just about losing weight, but also about cultivating a sense of accomplishment, a crucial element in overcoming procrastination. But how do we ensure our goals remain motivating rather than overwhelming? The answer lies in the process of visualization. Along her journey, Sarah created a vision board, filled with images that represented her goals and the feelings she wanted to invoke. This constant visual reminder kept her focused and inspired. As we reflect on Sarah's story, it becomes clear that setting impactful goals is about more than just the destination. It's also about the journey and the strategies we adopt along the way. As you think about your own goals, consider the SMART framework. Are your goals specific enough? Are they measurable? Achievable? Relevant to your life? And do you have a timeline? If not, it's time to reassess. This chapter brings us to an important question: what barriers do you face when setting and achieving your goals? The answers lie within your own habits and perceptions, which we will delve into next. Get ready to examine the underlying beliefs that may sabotage your progress as we transition